big news that was this week, and it was a sacking for a manager, and it was Frank Lampard. He was at the club for 18 months. He had played or managed even 57 games. He's won 28 of them, 11 draws and 18 losses. And we'll come on to Thomas Tuchel in a second. But is it too early for him to be sacked? We keep going on about giving managers time, and Frank Lampard's had about 6 months to just make a formation and tactics out of this incredible team, 200 million. Why do you think it's not worked for him? And why do you think he's not had enough time?
One argument is, at this point in time, this time last season, Ollie had won one less game and he was behind on 1 point of what Lampard has got now. And look at you now. Yeah. But the amount that Lampard has spent kind of offsets that, because he should have that team and he should be getting better results than he is. And part of that is due to the players, because Werner and Kepa really aren't doing very well for the amount of money that they've spent on them. Havertz isn't amazing for what was spent on him. He spent so much money and just got nothing to show for it. Yeah, so I don't think that argument's right about Ollie, because he hadn't spent that much money on him on United.
Alex, what do you think? Because I think when Frank Lampard left, of course, they drew yesterday or the other day to Wolves. They were 9th, and we've not seen Chelsea that low since Mourinho's last season, I think. I think they were a bit lower than that. But was it too early to sack him?
I agree that I think he would have been successful if he'd have stayed on like 6 months, 1 year longer, and he probably would have got the squad he wanted, got them playing how he wanted them to play, and then he probably would have qualified the Champions League a few more times. But if you're looking at from Abramovich's point of view, like he's given him 1.5 years. The first transfer window he couldn't sign anyone because he had a ban, and then the next one he spent like 200 million on players that quite easily could be winning so many leagues, and the fact that he's 9th at the halfway point just won't have been like Abramovich would have seen like lots of other managers winning stuff and think maybe I could bring in one of the managers that have won stuff with this team and they'll probably win. So I can see his understanding of it, but ultimately you have to give managers longer than a year and a half to get their squad going and ultimately have their squad playing in the Premier League instead of just players that are already at the club. I agree that it was probably the wrong decision, but at this point they'll just want to be focusing on qualifying for Europe, and Frank Lampard, I don't think he would have got there this season. So
my argument would be, look at Dean. We'll take Villa, Joe. We'll take Villa, and I know that they're not as well. Historically, they are as big as Chelsea, but in the current time, they aren't at the moment. But looking at Dean Smith, last year he spent, what was it, 115 million, something like that, on your squad.
It was around that.
Yeah, something like that. He had a terrible first season. Let's put it that way. In the Premier League, you just managed to stay up via relegation. He's managed to sort his tactics and his formation and get some more experienced and better players in that know the Premier League, like Ross Barkley. And look where you are now.
See, the problem I have with that is, I think our chairman could see the potential our team had if we'd stayed up.
Yeah, Alex, would you say it's the wrong recruitment? Because we were all saying, I think we all agreed on this, that they needed defenders. They didn't need attackers. So when Werner and Havertz got signed, we were a bit saying, why have they signed them? We were a bit troubled about it, because Mason Mount was performing excellently, and so was Tammy Abraham, arguably the 2 best players of last season. And if you look at them now, they're not even getting onto the team sheet. That was with Frank anyway. So is it down to bad recruitment?
I think so, yeah. That's pretty much what it is. Abramovich will have probably said, like, here's £200 million, spend it how you want, and then Frank Lampard just would have went, I want better attackers because I think the defense is all right, and ultimately it's shown this season. Like, I think they started off pretty well in defense. They brought Kurt Zouma just to play with maybe Christensen or Thiago Silva, who they signed on a free. And ultimately, like just before the end of the transfer window, they realised our defence is not up to scratch, and they brought in Mendy, and that ultimately improved it. He's going. I don't know if he's going worse now. He's probably not. He's just not on the same level as he was when he first signed. I'm not sure how to put it. It's not very good that they had to wait until I'd actually played games to realise what the actual weaknesses in the squad were. So it's probably definitely up to recruitment. But you could also blame that on Frank Lampard because it's his squad. At the end of the day, he should know what the weak points are. So
I think what he did was he saw some of the most hyped players out there and he'd seen their talent in another league and he's just gone, I'll sign them because they looked good. The Premier League is a different league though, and it'll take them time to adapt to that. Because don't get me wrong, Werner's a great player and I think he could. He has the potential to be very good in the Premier League. It's just not showing. That could be him not settled in right. It could be something wrong with Lampard. But he should have looked at that team and gone, we're not lacking offensively. We need to sort out our back line and our CDMs and that.
Yeah, and credit to him, he brought Ben Chilwell in and an experienced Thiago Silva. I just think Lampard, I think he deserved more time, and I think if he did get that time, we could see a different Chelsea side. But I went back to this a couple of weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and I said to you, he's brought in the marquee signings. If you've looked at all of the great teams over the past couple of years, including City and Liverpool, look at their teams. They've got no really, like, you've got your Agueros and stuff like that, but you've got no like Ronaldo in there that's like better than everyone else. With Liverpool, you've got a level playing field. Everybody believes they're as good as each other, and nobody thinks they're better than each other. If you've got Havertz, Werner, they're going to think, oh, we're better than Mount, we're better than Abraham. And to the extent they are, but in the Premier League, they won't be because they've not had that experience, like we said before. So I think he needed to build a team, an actual team, not a team of individuals. And I think that's where he's fallen.
I think that's why he was so successful in his first season. Like, he just brought a few young players and then a few first team players into the squad, and ultimately he succeeded with them. But then when he brought the signings in, they didn't really fit in. I think Ziyech will be very good for them. I'm not sure about the others though. So